Hey everyone, welcome back to Bald Guys with Guns. I'm Rob.
And I'm Jeremy.
And today's episode 6 of our Learn Long Range series.
Yes.
Learn Long Range with us.
Right, and it's coming to an end. We don't have many left.
One more after this one.
That's it.
So we got the Ruger Precision 308 out today. We're going to go 700 yards and shoot groups. 2 groups of 5?
2 groups of 5, so we can get the best grouping out there, that long range distance. And as you learn, I feel like that 500 yards really where you start to take into effect, surrounding your environment. I mean, that's 500 yards is there's a lot of forgiveness from 500 within.
Inside. Yeah, I think
once
so.
you break that, so much starts to come into play, and I think that's what we've learned and what you'll see with us as we shoot this challenge today.
Yeah, as with all of these series, there's at least one topic we want to talk about to learn long range. And today's topic is dry firing.
Yes. I think this is for precision shooting and getting to know your rifle. I believe this is one topic that's overlooked and underappreciated for its actual value that it provides.
Yeah, well, for a few different reasons. One of the things that I've recently realized is that I don't always take the same rifle out with me, and every trigger is different. And so when you get down on the rifle for the first time, and you just start shooting, you don't really know what to expect. What if you had a heavier trigger the last time you went out, or even a lighter one, and this one's somewhere in between, and you're either expecting it to be heavy or light based on your last experience, right?
Yep.
And even if you bring the same rifle, I still think it's a good idea to get down and take a few dry fires just to remember what that trigger feels like.
Absolutely. It's a good thing to do while waiting for your barrel to cool down, or if you shoot your first verification rounds at 100 yards, afterwards, to just kind of take some breaths and just make sure that you're doing that trigger control. Make sure that you're working through the process.
Yeah. And you can do it out on the range. You can practice at home with all your rifles. The thing about triggers is that they're literally all different. You've got single stage triggers, double stage. Is it double stage? Is that how you say it?
I think so.
Dual stage,
double
stage. 2 stage. I think it's just 2 stage.
Is it?
2 stage triggers.
Whereas 1 and 2 sections to it.
Where like a single stage trigger, it's just at a wall and it breaks. And some of those triggers, whether they're single or double, when you get to the wall, when you're at the wall, some of them have creep and some of them just break crisp.
Yep.
And you want to learn these things about your trigger. 2 stage triggers, there's movement until you feel the wall and then it breaks. And so there's just a lot of differences between them all. So one could be 8 ounces, one could be 3 pounds, one could be 1 pound.
Right.
And you just want to know. Right?
And I've learned a lot in doing these more precision style rifles where I come from that hunting background.
Mm-hmm.
Most triggers that I shoot have a lot of creep, just to give you that little extra protection maybe while it's in the saddle. I don't know, but I can think back on all my guns and it's squeeze, and I feel the trigger squeeze with me, and it's squeeze, and the trigger squeeze, and and you constantly keep squeezing between that 3 to 5 pounds, I would say, and you can literally feel that trigger squeezing.
I don't know if you want to call that a safety feature or just a cheapness feature.
but then you get something like these, where you're talking about ounces on some of these triggers. Like there is no, as you call, creep. It's just wall. Right,
wall.
Like, that's it. Once that pressure hits, boom, guns fired.
Our rifles in particular, both the 308 and the 6.5, they have the lowest we could get this factory triggers is 2 pounds.
Yep.
And so they're 2 pound triggers. But I think they're even just an ounce or two different, and so it's good to dry fire even between the two. And so what we'd like to do is, as well as explain a couple other things about trigger pull and dry firing, I'm going to have Jeremy get down on the ground, and he's just going to demonstrate dry firing. Because the other thing that dry firing is good for is working on your flinch, right?
Yep.
And the trigger, it clicks, it goes off. It doesn't have the big boom, but some people that are, like even newer shooters, they'll flinch even to just the click. So just to get used to shooting in general or just pulling the trigger.
Absolutely.
So let's get down.
And the last thing too, as we're getting down, is position, right?
Oh, yeah.
You have different points of view on the best spot to actually place your finger on the trigger. You have the tip, which is, I've heard some things about it, down on the pad, kind of right in the middle of your finger, and then I've had people come all the way up into the crease of your finger. I think it would be fair to say, unless you do it as like a profession or you're really trying to get precise, I don't think that matters too much. Commenters, cruel me for this. However, I have noticed that being able to fill it and getting more cushion on the pad, as you've kind of explained to me in the years, is using that center pad.
Yeah, a lot of people, I think, would agree that the pad of your finger, there's more nerves there, there's more place to feel what you're doing versus the crease or the tip. But I mean, I think it is subjective a little bit. I think people will just do what they do and what works for them. But I think in general, and this might be wrong, but I think the pad is
the way to go.
The way to go.
Well, let's get down and shoot it.
Yeah. So we got Jeremy down here on the gun. He's going to look through the scope and do everything as if he was shooting. The other thing we forgot to mention is this can also help with holding steady. When you're pulling the trigger, it gives you practice to hold steady, to hold level, to hold the crosshairs right where you want every time you pull the trigger. Remember, you don't have to cycle the bolt, just up and down.
That's right. See, look at that. Tips I always forget. I've always racked it the whole way every single time. But
well, and that's just another like personal preference, right? Like if you're just doing trigger control, you only have to go up and down. But if you want to feel everything about the gun, you can rack the whole thing.
Yes. One note: don't do this with a rim fire. Your 17 HMRs, your 22s, not recommended. It does do damage to the rifle.
Firing pin specifically.
Yes, specifically to the firing pin. However, your center fires can allow for this thousands of times with no issue.
Yep. Let's get in nice and close. Watch Jeremy's finger here.
So I try to do the same thing every time. I'll always try to put my thumb in the exact same place, and that's where I'll start as my centerpiece. And then I'll go to my hand on the grip where it feels comfortable and trying to get it in that same spot. And then I'll close in, and the last thing I do is put my finger on that trigger. Once everything's in place, then I'll place it right on that pad, and then I pull it into me. It's not just like a squeeze, but it's more of like a pull, and I pull it into myself here. That is how I do it. Now, as we said, if you look here at your crease, I can go all the way in and stick it on that crease and do the same thing, but I just don't feel like I have as much control inside of there.
I mean, just looking at it personally, it looks like you might pull yourself off target doing it that way too, because it's not a straight back pull.
Exactly. Now, same thing here, if you go right to the tip, you almost feel like your finger doesn't have quite as much power there, and so you almost have to like tilt it forward to pull it in. Maybe that's just because I got weak hands. But there's that method.
Let's watch Jeremy's eyeballs and see if he flinches. No, he's good. Nice.
Got to make sure you see that target, all 6 meters away from me on your wall here.
And you can do this as many times as you feel comfortable, or until you just feel like you've got a good grasp of how that trigger feels so that you can start shooting.
Yep.
All right, so something that we noticed right before we got back up off the ground was that this trigger in particular, being a factory trigger, it feels nice.
Yep.
But we both noticed that it doesn't actually feel the exact same weight every time.
No.
So it's not a consistent thing either.
No, and I wouldn't give it enough to say that it's a half pound, 8 ounce difference, but I'd say you could probably feel a good maybe 4 ounce change.
Something like that.
High to low end.
Mm-hmm. So
sensitivity.
This one's got a variable weight
to
it. So just reasons to dry fire. But now we're going to go take you guys out to the shooting range. Jeremy's going to get down and shoot first. He's going to shoot 3 shots at 100 yards to verify 0 and to get some chronograph data so we know exactly what to do to get out to 700.
Yes, and hopefully it's just 1 hole.
Hopefully. 3
shots, 1 hole. It's a good day.
That'd be good. Hold up. Wait. We we forgot to tell you something.
And it's one of our more popular questions that we get when we don't make specific points to it.
We are going to use Federal Gold Medal Match Sierra Match King 168 grain bullets.
Yes, there we go. The ammo, okay? We have loved the Federal. Rugers seem to love the Federal. Between all of your Rugers, they all tend to shoot that Federal, and they all shoot it very well.
Yep, and because of that, we bought a bunch in the same lot so that it all performs the same. It's been performing the same. We will put a Omega 300 from Silencer Co. on the front silencer. We've got the Accutac bipod, and the scope on the gun will be the Vortex Viper PST Gen 2.
Yep. Yes.
And it is mils.
In mils.
So
that is our Milleradian gun, and it is fun. And we will be throwing a trigger cam scope mount to it as well, so that you guys can watch us shoot.
Except for Jeremy forgot to turn it on for his 5 shots.
Yeah.
That's okay. To the range.
To the range. Center, center.
Center, center. About an inch high, 1.5 inches.
This is loud. The center reticle on this is so tiny.
Yeah. Right next to that one. Again, you're going, what's your average FPS?
2506. I'd say 2507. We had an ES of 52 and an SD of 22. Okay.
All right, 5 on left target.
5 on left target.
Okay. Remember, this should print 7 or less inch group, so don't worry about that being higher and to the right of the other. Just hold same. Right underneath it. Oh my gosh. That's pretty good. You're in like a 2.5 to 3 inch max group right now.
Hold on, eyes just went blurry.
Oh my gosh, right on top of the 4th shot. Dude, you're printing a good group.
Got a little mirage going on in the scope.
Same on the scope here.
All right, I'm clear, I'm sending.
Okay.
Oh, that's back.
Dude, that's a phenomenal 700-yard group. That's pretty good.
I mean, it helps when there's like no wind, you know?
Yeah, it really does.
But that felt really good too.
Yeah, that was awesome. All right.
Fire one ready.
Firing.
Low left.
Okay.
You hit the top of the bottom left red diamond.
Okay. Let's hope that's where they all go.
Right edge, bottom left diamond. That's a good shot. About a half-inch high of your first shot.
Could have been from the Mirage too.
I'm not sure on that one.
Okay, well, hopefully we're on.
Yep.
Looks like they're all bottom left.
Yeah, those are the 3 still. I didn't see any new holes. So unless they're touching.
Holy smokes, look at that group. You shot great.
I am honestly blown away at that group.
We're sorry that the trigger cam wasn't on for Jeremy's shots, but you did see the camera that was on the target downrange and saw this happen in real time.
Yeah.
That is, that is sub half MOA group right there.
That's 700
That's
yards
700
with
yards.
factory ammo and a factory Ruger precision rifle.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
It did well.
It did very well.
Now, talking about mine, my first 3 shots looked like I was going to do the same thing.
Yep.
The wind changed. Obviously, you can see mine went low left versus his high right. But as you could have seen on the film, I hit one high off onto the cardboard, and then there was one I circled. It was just on the edge of the screen, but it actually hit the wood post that was holding this up. I also think that you can tell in the trigger cam that I jumped on those 2 shots.
He didn't practice his trigger like we talked about.
So here's the thing. I want to blame the ammo, like always, but here's what happened. Adding the trigger cam to the scope limits your eye relief to like this much.
Yeah. It adds like, what, 1.5 inches to 2 inches
it adds
on your scope.
It takes away from your eye relief. And with glasses on, every time I shot, I was getting bonked in the head. And after the first 3, I started flinching. I could feel myself do it. You could see it in the trigger cam. I think I threw those 2 shots off because the trigger cam was tapping me.
Yep.
And, you know, Jeremy was good enough to let it hit him and just
accept your fate.
And I let it get to me. And I think I threw those shots off myself. But regardless, it did go where we expected it to go. Yep. Your group shot awesome. These first 3 shots were great.
Yep.
All in all, I'm still pleased with the Ruger Precision 308.
I'm very pleased. This rifle has been phenomenal.
It's great.
I love it.
So
it's only one that hit the 1,000 yards in our evens challenge too.
Yeah, I know.
The Creedmoor didn't connect that day.
I know, it's crazy. Hopefully we'll connect the next time we do the evens challenge after we're done with this series here.
Right, which is coming up soon, guys. We're excited for this.
Yep. So we hope you guys enjoyed that. We hoped it was informative about dry firing and stuff. And we had a good time. Thanks for coming along on this journey with us. We have one more learn long range with us with the 6.5 Creedmoor, and it's actually going to come out a week from now. So you don't have to wait a whole month.
Yep.
So yeah, always remember, only the most beautiful scalps
are bald. We'll see you next time.